evening, and welcome. Wherever you are listening from, allow yourself to settle into stillness. There is nothing you need to decide or defend here. This is not a debate, and it is not an argument. It is simply a quiet reflection. Tonight we begin an exploration of why people believe in God, approached gently, philosophically, and without judgment. You do not need to agree with what you hear. You only need to listen. Across cultures and centuries, belief in God or in a higher power has appeared again and again. It has taken countless forms, spoken through many names, and expressed through different traditions. Yet beneath this diversity lies a shared human impulse, the search for meaning. From the earliest moments of awareness, human beings have asked questions that reach beyond survival. Why is there something rather than nothing? What gives life significance? What, if anything, holds the world together? This search does not begin with theology. It begins with experience. Long before formal belief systems, humans encountered mystery through nature and existence itself. The rising and setting of the sun, the vastness of the night sky, the regularity of seasons, and the unpredictability of storms all suggested forces beyond human control. These encounters stirred wonder, fear, and curiosity. Belief emerged not as an explanation, but as a response. For many people, belief in God begins with a sense of awe. Awe arises when the mind encounters something too large to fully comprehend. Standing beneath a star-filled sky or witnessing the complexity of life can evoke a feeling that reality is deeper than it appears on the surface. This feeling does not demand a specific conclusion, but it often invites one. God becomes a word used to name that depth. Meaning also plays a central role. Human beings are not satisfied with existence alone. We seek purpose, coherence, and direction. Belief in God offers a framework in which life is not random, but oriented. Events may still be painful or confusing, but they are placed within a larger story. For some, this story provides comfort. For others, it provides motivation. In both cases, belief serves as an anchor for meaning. Another powerful factor is the experience of limitation. Human life is finite. We encounter boundaries in knowledge, strength, and time. Birth and death frame every life, often without explanation. Belief in God offers a way to relate to these limits. It allows people to place trust beyond themselves, especially in moments when control feels impossible. In this sense, belief is not always about certainty. It is often about surrender. Fear is sometimes associated with belief, but fear alone does not explain it. While fear of death or uncertainty can influence belief, it is not the whole story. Many people believe not because they are afraid, but because belief brings peace. It offers reassurance that existence is held within something greater than chance. This peace is not the absence of doubt, but the presence of trust. Hope is closely connected to belief. In difficult circumstances, belief in God can sustain hope when external conditions offer little reason for it. This hope is not always about outcomes. It is often about endurance. Belief provides a reason to continue, to act with compassion, and to imagine a future shaped by meaning rather than despair. The search for order also influences belief. The natural world displays patterns that invite interpretation. From the laws of physics to the structure of living organisms, reality appears ordered rather than chaotic. Some people interpret this order as evidence of intelligence or intention. God becomes a way of understanding why the universe is intelligible at all. This does not require scientific misunderstanding. Many who believe in God also value scientific explanation. For them, belief answers a different kind of question. Science explains how things happen. Belief addresses why existence itself feels meaningful. These perspectives are not always seen as opposing, but as complementary ways of understanding reality. Belief is also shaped by inner experience. Moments of conscience, compassion, and moral awareness often feel deeper than social conditioning alone. Many people describe an inner sense of right and wrong that feels given rather than invented. God becomes a way of understanding this moral awareness as something grounded beyond individual preference. From this perspective, belief supports ethical life. It encourages responsibility, humility, and care for others. Even when moral behavior exists without belief, belief can strengthen commitment by framing ethics within a sacred context. Actions matter not only because of consequences, but because they reflect alignment with something greater. Belief in God is also deeply relational. For many, God is not an abstract concept, but a presence experienced through prayer, reflection, or quiet awareness. This relational dimension transforms belief from idea to relationship. Trust replaces proof. Presence replaces certainty. God becomes less an answer and more a companion through life. Culture and upbringing also play significant roles. Belief is often inherited before it is chosen. Stories, rituals, and shared language shape imagination from early life. For some, belief remains unexamined. For others, it becomes a question later on. Both paths are common. Neither invalidates the depth of belief itself. As societies become more diverse, belief becomes more conscious. People are exposed to alternatives. Some strengthen belief through reflection. Others release it. Still others reshape it. The persistence of belief across such change suggests that it responds to enduring human needs rather than temporary conditions. This opening reflection comes gently to rest here. We have begun to explore belief not as doctrine, but as response to awe, meaning, limitation, hope, order, morality, and relationship. In the next section, we will turn more closely toward fear, wonder, and the unknown, examining how uncertainty and mystery shape belief across human experience. As the exploration continues, attention turns toward fear, wonder, and the unknown. These experiences have shaped human consciousness since the earliest moments of awareness. Long before belief was articulated in words, human beings encountered forces they could not control or fully understand. Darkness, illness, natural disasters, and death were ever-present realities. In response, the human mind searched not only for safety, but for meaning. Fear is often misunderstood when discussing belief in God. It is sometimes reduced to fear of punishment or fear of death. While these elements exist in certain traditions, fear itself is more complex. At its core, fear arises from uncertainty. It emerges when the future feels unpredictable and when control feels limited. Belief in God often grows from this uncertainty, not as a denial of fear, but as a way of holding it. For early humans, the world was filled with unknowns. Storms arrived without warning. Crops failed. Illness spread mysteriously. Life could change or end suddenly. In such conditions, belief offered orientation. It did not remove danger, but it placed danger within a framework that felt intelligible. God became a way of naming the forces behind events, transforming chaos into something that could be related to rather than merely feared. Wonder is closely related to fear, yet it moves in a different direction. Where fear contracts attention, wonder expands it. Wonder arises when the mind encounters something vast, beautiful, or deeply mysterious. The night sky, the rhythm of the seasons, and the complexity of life evoke questions that reach beyond immediate survival. These experiences invite reflection rather than avoidance. For many people, belief in God begins not with fear, but with wonder. The sense that reality is meaningful, ordered, or beautiful invites interpretation. God becomes a way of expressing gratitude for existence itself. In this sense, belief is not an escape from the unknown, but an engagement with it. The unknown occupies a central place in human life. No matter how much knowledge expands, there remain questions without answers. Why existence exists at all? What consciousness truly is? What happens after death? Belief in God offers one way of living with these unanswered questions. It does not always provide explanations, but it offers relationship and trust in the face of mystery. For some, belief transforms fear into trust. When outcomes cannot be controlled, belief allows individuals to release the burden of total responsibility. This release does not mean passivity. It means acknowledging limits. Trust becomes a way of responding to uncertainty without being overwhelmed by it. Others experience belief as a way of naming presence within the unknown. God is not imagined as distant, but as accompanying human life through uncertainty. This sense of presence can reduce existential anxiety. Even when answers are absent, one is not alone. At the same time, belief does not eliminate fear entirely. Many believers continue to experience doubt, anxiety, and uncertainty. Belief does not function as a shield against these emotions. Instead, it offers a context in which they can be held. Fear becomes part of the human condition rather than a failure of faith. Modern life has changed how fear and wonder are experienced. Scientific understanding has reduced some forms of uncertainty, yet it has introduced others. Knowledge expands awareness of complexity rather than eliminating mystery. The more is known about the universe, the more questions emerge. For some, this deepens belief. For others, it challenges traditional images of God. Belief persists not because mystery disappears, but because mystery remains. The unknown continues to shape human experience, even in technologically advanced societies. Fear shifts from natural forces to existential concerns, meaninglessness, isolation, and loss of purpose. Belief in God often responds to these deeper fears. Wonder, too, evolves. Modern imagery of galaxies, microscopic life, and the vast scale of the universe evokes awe similar to ancient stargazing. The context changes, but the response remains. God becomes a way of articulating reverence for existence across expanding horizons. Some critics suggest that belief arises solely from fear of the unknown. While fear can influence belief, this explanation is incomplete. Fear alone does not sustain devotion, compassion, or moral commitment. Belief endures because it addresses multiple dimensions of human experience, including wonder, hope, and relational meaning. The unknown also shapes humility. Recognizing limits can soften certainty and open space for reflection. For many believers, God represents not mastery over the unknown, but reverence toward it. Belief becomes an acknowledgement that reality exceeds human understanding. Fear and wonder often coexist. Standing at the edge of the unknown can evoke both simultaneously. Belief in God allows these emotions to be integrated rather than opposed. Fear does not cancel wonder, and wonder does not erase fear. Together, they deepen awareness of existence. Children often encounter belief through this integration. Early questions about death, origin, and purpose arise naturally. Belief offers language for these questions when rational explanation feels insufficient. As people mature, these early frameworks may be revised, but the underlying questions remain. In times of crisis, fear becomes more immediate. Loss, illness, and uncertainty confront individuals with vulnerability. Belief in God can provide stability during these moments, not by promising specific outcomes, but by offering meaning beyond circumstance. This meaning supports endurance. Not everyone responds to fear and wonder through belief. Some turn toward philosophy, science, or somehow personal resilience. Yet belief remains a common response because it engages both emotion and intellect. It speaks to the heart as well as the mind. As societies grow more pluralistic, individuals encounter multiple interpretations of the unknown. Some find this destabilizing. Others find it enriching. Belief adapts, taking new forms while addressing familiar questions. The persistence of belief across cultures suggests that fear and wonder are not problems to be solved, but conditions to be lived with. This section comes gently to rest here. We have explored how fear, wonder, and the unknown shape belief in God, not as weakness, but as engagement with uncertainty. In the next section, we will turn toward order, pattern, and purpose, examining how the structure of reality itself invites belief for many people. Fear and wonder also shape how people imagine meaning beyond individual life. The awareness that one's existence is brief can feel unsettling. Belief in God offers continuity that extends beyond a single lifetime. This does not always take the form of specific images of an afterlife. Sometimes it is simply the sense that life participates in something enduring. The unknown future invites reflection on legacy. People ask whether their actions matter beyond immediate effect. Belief in God often affirms that meaning is not lost when it cannot be measured. Acts of kindness, courage, and care are seen as participating in a larger moral reality. This belief sustains ethical motivation even when recognition is absent. Fear of insignificance is another quiet influence. In vast universes and complex societies, individuals can feel small. Belief does not deny smallness, but it reframes it. Human life may be small in scale, yet significant in value. God becomes a way of affirming worth beyond comparison. Wonder also shapes creativity and imagination. Art, music, and storytelling frequently arise from encounters with mystery. Many artists describe their work as responding to something beyond conscious control. Belief provides language for this inspiration, interpreting creativity as participation in a deeper source. In moments of silence, the unknown becomes more present. Without distraction, questions surface naturally. Belief in God offers a way of resting within these questions rather than rushing to resolve them. Silence becomes a space of encounter rather than emptiness. These experiences reveal that belief is not always loud or assertive. Often it is quiet, emerging in reflection rather than proclamation. It lives in the background of awareness, shaping how people meet uncertainty. As this reflection deepens, fear and wonder lose their sharp edges. They become teachers rather than threats. Belief does not eliminate the unknown. It offers a way of living alongside it with humility and openness. This expanded understanding prepares us to explore how perceptions of order, pattern, and purpose influence belief as we continue into the next section. As reflection moves forward, attention turns toward order, pattern, and purpose. These elements of experience have long influenced belief in God, offering a way of interpreting the structure of reality itself. From the smallest details of life to the vastness of the cosmos, many people encounter a sense that existence is not random, but arranged in ways that invite meaning. Human beings are natural pattern seekers. From early childhood, the mind looks for regularity and connection. Repetition creates expectation, Cause leads to effect. Over time, this capacity becomes essential for survival and understanding. Yet beyond practical pattern recognition, many people sense something deeper. That reality itself seems intelligible. The world can be studied, understood, and described. This intelligibility raises questions that go beyond utility. For some, belief in God arises from this sense of intelligibility. The fact that the universe can be known at all feels significant. Laws of nature operate consistently. Mathematical relationships describe physical reality with remarkable precision. Life develops according to intricate processes that balance stability and change. God becomes a way of naming the source of this coherence. This perspective does not require rejecting scientific explanation. Many who believe in God also study science with care and respect. For them, scientific discovery deepens rather than diminishes belief. Understanding how things work does not answer why there is a coherent system to understand in the first place. Belief addresses that deeper question. Order is also experienced in daily life. Biological rhythms regulate sleep and wakefulness. Social systems develop rules and norms. Moral intuition guides behavior. While these forms of order differ in origin, together they create a sense that life unfolds within patterns rather than pure chaos. Belief in God offers a unifying framework for interpreting these patterns as meaningful rather than accidental. Purpose often accompanies perceptions of order. When events follow patterns, people naturally ask whether those patterns serve a reason. Purpose does not always mean a specific plan for each moment. It often means direction rather than detail. Belief in God provides a way of understanding life as oriented rather than aimless. This orientation can be especially important during moments of disruption. When routines break and expectations fail, the idea that life still has purpose can sustain resilience. Belief does not deny loss or confusion. It places them within a larger arc that allows hope to coexist with uncertainty. Many people encounter purpose through vocation and calling. The sense of being drawn towards certain activities, relationships, or forms of service feels meaningful. Belief in God interprets this draw as guidance rather than coincidence. Purpose becomes something discovered rather than invented. Critics sometimes argue that perceived purpose is imposed by the human mind rather than inherent in reality. While this may be true in some cases, the persistence of purposive interpretation across cultures suggests that it reflects a deep aspect of human experience. Belief does not eliminate interpretation. It gives language to it. Pattern is also evident in growth and development. Seeds become plants. Children mature into adults. Communities form and evolve. These processes follow recognizable stages while remaining unpredictable in detail. Belief in God often frames these patterns as participation in a creative process rather than mechanical repetition. The experience of beauty also shapes perceptions of order. Beauty arises when form and harmony align in ways that move the observer. Landscapes, music, and human creativity evoke responses that feel meaningful beyond survival value. For many, beauty suggests intention rather than accident. God becomes a way of understanding why beauty exists at all. This does not mean that all order is pleasant. Nature includes destruction as well as creation. Systems break down, patterns fail. Belief in God does not require denying disorder. Instead, it invites reflection on how order and disorder coexist. Purpose may include transformation rather than preservation. The concept of purpose also shapes how people interpret suffering. When life is seen as purposeless, suffering can feel meaningless. Belief in God offers an alternative. Suffering may still be painful, but it is not devoid of meaning. It may contribute to growth, compassion, or depth in ways that are not immediately visible. This interpretation is not always comforting. It can raise difficult questions about fairness and responsibility. Yet for many, belief in purpose allows suffering to be held without despair. It supports endurance when explanation is absent. Order and purpose also influence moral understanding. If reality is meaningful, then actions matter. Choices contribute to alignment or misalignment with that meaning. Belief in God frames ethical life as participation in a moral order rather than arbitrary rule-following. In this view, conscience reflects attunement to purpose. Moral awareness becomes a way of sensing how to live in harmony with what is real. God becomes the grounding of this harmony. Modern life has complicated perceptions of order and purpose. Rapid change and complexity can obscure patterns. Systems feel unstable. Yet even in this context, people continue to seek coherence. Belief in God adapts, emphasizing trust in meaning beyond immediate clarity. Some find purpose through secular frameworks, such as humanism or progress. Others integrate belief with these perspectives. The presence of alternatives does not eliminate belief, it refines it. Order is also found in narrative. Stories give shape to experience. They link events into meaningful sequences. Religious narratives offer overarching stories that situate individual lives within larger contexts. Belief in God often draws strength from these narratives, which provide orientation through time. Without narrative, experience can feel fragmented. Belief offers continuity, connecting past, present, and future. Purpose becomes something lived rather than defined. As reflection deepens, order and purpose are understood less as rigid plans and more as invitations. Life invites response rather than compliance. Belief in God becomes trust in this invitation. This trust does not require certainty. It requires openness. Order can be perceived without being fully understood. Purpose can be followed without being fully known. As this section comes to rest, we have explored how order, pattern, and purpose influence belief in God. We have seen how intelligibility, beauty, growth, and moral orientation invite interpretation. In the next section, we will turn toward morality and conscience, examining how inner awareness of right and wrong shapes belief across cultures and lives. Order and purpose also shape how people relate to time. Past experiences influence present choices, and present actions shape future possibilities. This continuity invites reflection on whether life unfolds randomly or with direction. Belief in God often frames time as meaningful rather than accidental. Moments matter because they participate in a larger unfolding. This sense of direction can be subtle. It may not appear as clear instruction, but as quiet alignment. People describe feeling that certain choices resonate more deeply than others. Purpose is sensed rather than calculated. Belief offers language for this resonance. Pattern is also experienced in cycles of renewal. Day follows night, seasons return, loss gives way to growth. These rhythms suggest continuity beyond individual events. Belief in God often interprets these cycles as signs of enduring life rather than temporary order. Even disruption can be understood within this framework. When patterns break, new ones emerge. Change becomes part of purpose rather than its negation. This perspective allows individuals to adapt without losing orientation. Order is also relational. Human lives are shaped by connection. Relationships form patterns of care, conflict, and reconciliation. Belief in God often frames these patterns as opportunities for love and growth, rather than mere social necessity. Purpose in relationship encourages responsibility. Actions affect others. Choices ripple outward. Belief grounds this responsibility in something more enduring than personal preference. As societies become more complex, patterns grow harder to see. Belief does not eliminate complexity. It offers patience. Trust replaces immediate clarity. Purpose unfolds over time. This deeper understanding of order prepares us to explore how conscience and moral awareness arise within belief, guiding action even when external rules are absent. As reflection continues, attention turns inward toward morality and conscience. Across cultures and eras, human beings have reported an inner awareness of right and wrong that feels deeper than convenience or preference. This awareness often emerges early in life and persists even when it conflicts with self-interest. For many people, belief in God is shaped profoundly by this moral experience. Conscience is difficult to define precisely. It is not simply learned behavior, though it is shaped by culture. It is not merely emotion, though it involves feeling. Conscience often presents itself as an inner sense of obligation, a quiet knowing that certain actions align with integrity while others do not. This knowing can feel compelling even when no external authority is present. For believers, conscience is often interpreted as a sign of moral order, rooted beyond the individual. God becomes a way of understanding why moral awareness feels binding rather than optional. Right and wrong are not merely social agreements, but reflections of a deeper reality that calls for response. This interpretation offers moral grounding. When ethical standards are seen as grounded beyond human preference, they carry weight even when inconvenient. Belief in God can strengthen commitment to honesty, compassion, and responsibility by framing them as participation in something enduring rather than situational. At the same time, conscience is not always clear. Moral dilemmas arise when values conflict or when outcomes are uncertain. Belief does not eliminate these tensions. Instead, it offers a context for wrestling with them. Prayer, reflection, and moral tradition provide language for navigating complexity. For some, belief in God transforms moral struggle into dialogue rather than isolation. Ethical decisions are not faced alone. They are brought into relationship with a perceived source of wisdom and care. This relational dimension can reduce anxiety and deepen humility. Morality also shapes belief through experiences of injustice. Encounters with suffering, cruelty, or unfairness provoke moral outrage. People ask why harm exists and whether it matters. Belief in God often arises from the conviction that injustice is not merely unfortunate, but wrong. God becomes a symbol of moral seriousness, affirming that suffering is not invisible or insignificant. This does not resolve all questions. The existence of injustice can challenge belief as much as inspire it. Yet many believers hold that moral protest itself points toward belief. The sense that things ought to be different suggests a standard beyond what currently exists. Conscience also reveals human limitation. People frequently fail to live according to their own moral awareness. Guilt and remorse arise when actions fall short of values. Belief in God offers a way of understanding forgiveness and renewal. Moral failure does not define the whole of a person. Restoration remains possible. This possibility of forgiveness is significant. Without it, conscience can become a source of despair. Belief reframes conscience as guidance rather than condemnation. It invites growth rather than perfection. Moral life becomes a journey rather than a test. Cultural differences in moral codes sometimes lead to the claim that morality is entirely relative. While expressions of morality vary, Many believers point to shared ethical themes across cultures: care for the vulnerable, fairness, honesty, and respect for life. These shared themes support the idea of a common moral core. Belief in God often interprets this shared core as evidence of moral order woven into human nature. Conscience becomes a universal language, expressed differently but understood widely. God becomes the grounding of this universality. Morality also intersects with freedom. Ethical choice requires the ability to choose otherwise. Belief in God often affirms this freedom while emphasizing responsibility. Choices matter because they shape character and relationship. Moral life is participatory rather than predetermined. In this view, conscience is not coercive. It invites rather than forces. Individuals may ignore it, but doing so carries inner cost. Belief provides a framework for understanding this cost not as punishment, but as misalignment. Modern psychology and neuroscience explore moral cognition scientifically. These insights enrich understanding of how conscience functions. For many believers, such explanations do not negate belief. They describe mechanisms without exhausting meaning. How conscience operates does not fully explain why moral obligation feels real. Others approach morality without belief, grounding ethics in empathy or reason. Belief does not claim exclusive ownership of morality. Yet for many, belief deepens moral motivation by situating ethics within a sacred horizon. Morality also influences how people understand love. Love involves self-giving that exceeds calculation. Acts of compassion often defy narrow self-interest. Belief in God frames love as participation in a greater source rather than mere instinct. Love becomes central rather than peripheral. This perspective shapes how people respond to moral failure in others. Judgment is tempered by awareness of shared limitation. Belief encourages mercy alongside justice. Conscience guides not only action, but response. As societies change, moral consensus becomes more difficult. Pluralism introduces competing values. Belief in God offers continuity amid change. Moral tradition provides orientation even as application evolves. At the same time, belief itself is shaped by moral insight. When traditions fail to reflect compassion or justice, conscience prompts reevaluation. Belief adapts through moral reflection rather than blind adherence. This dynamic relationship between belief and conscience suggests that faith is not static. It responds to moral awareness. God is not invoked to silence conscience, but to deepen it. As this section comes gently to rest, we have explored how morality and conscience shape belief in God. Inner awareness of right and wrong, experiences of injustice, guilt, forgiveness, and love all contribute to belief as lived reality, rather than abstract theory. In the next section, we will turn towards suffering, comfort, and hope, examining how belief in God responds to pain, loss, and the human need for meaning in difficult times. Conscience also influences belief through moments of moral courage. Individuals sometimes act rightly at personal cost, guided by inner conviction rather than reward. Such actions raise questions about the source of moral strength. Belief in God offers a way of understanding courage as participation in a deeper moral reality rather than mere willpower. Moral imagination further shapes belief. The ability to envision a more just world implies a standard beyond current conditions. People dream of peace, reconciliation, and healing, even when history suggests difficulty. Belief affirms that these visions are not illusions, but glimpses of what ought to be. Conscience is also refined through relationship. Moral awareness deepens as people encounter the suffering and dignity of others. Belief in God often frames these encounters as sacred, encouraging reverence toward human life. Ethics become relational rather than abstract. This relational understanding of morality supports humility. Individuals recognize that they are both capable of good and prone to failure. Belief offers patience with this tension, inviting ongoing growth rather than final judgment. Over time, conscience evolves. Moral understanding matures through experience, reflection, and dialogue. Belief accommodates this growth, allowing tradition to be interpreted in light of expanding compassion. This expanded view of morality prepares us to explore how belief responds to suffering, loss, and the search for hope. As we continue into the next section, moral life also includes the experience of gratitude. People feel thankful not only for outcomes, but for existence itself. Gratitude often seeks an object. Belief in God provides a way of directing thanks beyond circumstance, turning appreciation into relationship. This movement from gratitude to relationship further strengthens belief. God becomes not only a moral ground, but a recipient of acknowledgement. Life is received rather than merely possessed. Conscience, gratitude, courage, and love together shape belief as lived response. They move belief beyond explanation into practice. This reflection now rests, having explored how inner moral awareness influences belief in God. What follows is an examination of suffering, comfort, and hope, where belief is tested and deepened through pain and endurance. As reflection continues, attention turns towards suffering, comfort, and hope. Few aspects of human life influence belief in God as powerfully as pain and loss. Across cultures and eras, people have turned toward belief not when life is easy, but when it becomes difficult to endure. Suffering confronts individuals with vulnerability and limitation, raising questions that demand more than practical solutions. Suffering takes many forms. Physical pain, illness, grief, injustice, and emotional loss touch every life in different ways. These experiences disrupt assumptions about control and fairness. When suffering appears, people often ask not only how to survive it, but what it means. Belief in God frequently arises within this search for meaning amid pain. For many, belief offers comfort by affirming that suffering is not faced alone. God is understood not as distant observer, but as presence within difficulty. This presence does not remove pain, but it changes how pain is held. Suffering becomes something that can be shared rather than endured in isolation. Comfort does not always arrive as relief. Often it appears as strength to continue, patience to endure, or peace that exists alongside pain. Belief in God reframes comfort as resilience rather than escape. It allows individuals to acknowledge suffering without being defined by it. Hope is closely tied to this understanding. Hope does not deny reality. It does not insist that circumstances will improve quickly or predictably. Instead, hope affirms that meaning can exist even when outcomes remain uncertain. Belief in God sustains this form of hope by anchoring it beyond immediate conditions. For some, belief interprets suffering as a place of transformation. Pain deepens empathy. Loss clarifies values. Endurance cultivates humility. This interpretation does not glorify suffering. It recognizes that suffering can shape character without being desirable. Belief provides language for this shaping process. At the same time, suffering can challenge belief. Many struggle with questions of fairness and justice. Why do innocent people suffer? Why does harm occur without apparent reason? These questions have no simple answers. Belief does not always resolve them, but it offers a way of holding them without despair. Some people find belief strengthened by suffering. Others find it shaken. Both responses are human. Belief is not immune to doubt. In fact, doubt often deepens belief by making it more honest. Faith shaped by suffering is often quieter, less certain, but more compassionate. Comfort is also found in ritual and prayer. These practices provide structure when emotion overwhelms. Words spoken repeatedly carry meaning when spontaneous speech fails. Silence shared in prayer allows grief to be present without explanation. Belief gives these practices significance beyond habit. Community plays an important role in this context. Belief in God often connects individuals to others who share their burdens. Grief becomes collective rather than private. Hope is sustained through relationship. Comfort is embodied through presence rather than promise. Hope also extends beyond individual life. Many beliefs include visions of restoration, renewal, or continuity beyond death. These visions differ across traditions, yet they share a common impulse: the refusal to accept that suffering has the final word. God becomes a symbol of this refusal. Even for those uncertain about specific beliefs, the idea that life participates in a larger meaning can be comforting. Hope becomes trust that existence is held within something that does not abandon those who suffer. Belief also shapes how people respond to the suffering of others. Compassion becomes obligation rather than option. Acts of care are seen as participation in divine concern. Comfort is offered not only through words, but through action. This ethical response to suffering reinforces belief. Caring for others affirms that suffering matters. God becomes associated with solidarity rather than indifference. Modern life presents new forms of suffering: loneliness, anxiety, displacement, and loss of meaning. Belief in God adapts to these challenges, offering comfort that addresses inner as well as external pain. Hope becomes orientation rather than expectation. Some find comfort through belief, even when they no longer hold traditional images of God. Belief evolves, focusing on presence, love, or meaning rather than specific doctrines. What remains is trust that suffering does not render life meaningless. Suffering also reveals interdependence. No one endures pain entirely alone. Belief in God often frames this interdependence as intentional rather than accidental. Community becomes sacred space. Hope, finally, is sustained through memory. People remember having endured before. Belief links past endurance with future possibility. God becomes associated with faithfulness across time. This section comes gently to rest here. We have explored how suffering, comfort, and hope shape belief in God, not by eliminating pain, but by offering presence, meaning, and endurance. In the next section, we will turn toward community, tradition, and belonging, examining how shared belief sustains individuals across generations. Hope shaped by belief often expresses itself quietly. It does not always announce itself as optimism. Sometimes it appears as the decision to care when caring feels costly, or to remain gentle when bitterness would be easier. Belief sustains this quiet hope by affirming that such choices matter, even when unseen. Comfort also arises through meaning-making. Humans instinctively seek coherence after loss. Belief offers narratives that situate suffering within larger stories of endurance and renewal. These stories do not erase grief, but they prevent it from standing alone. Suffering can also awaken spiritual awareness in those previously uninterested in belief. Crisis interrupts routine and opens space for deeper questioning. In such moments, belief may emerge tentatively, not as certainty, but as openness to something beyond immediate understanding. For others, belief persists not because suffering has been explained, but because it has been accompanied. Presence proves more sustaining than answers. God becomes associated less with explanation and more with faithfulness. Hope extends beyond personal survival. It includes hope for justice, healing, and reconciliation in the wider world. Belief frames these hopes as aligned with a deeper moral reality. Even when progress is slow, hope endures. This endurance shapes resilience. Individuals learn that meaning can be carried forward even through loss. Belief supports this carrying, offering continuity when life feels fractured. As this reflection deepens, suffering is understood not as a contradiction of belief, but as a place where belief is tested, reshaped, and often matured. Hope remains, not because pain is denied, but because meaning is not surrendered. This expanded understanding prepares us to explore how community and tradition sustain belief, offering belonging and continuity beyond individual experience. Suffering also reshapes identity. People often discover depths of strength and compassion they did not know they possessed. Belief interprets this discovery as participation in something greater than individual capacity. Endurance becomes shared rather than solitary. Comfort is sometimes found not in resolution, but in acceptance. Belief supports this acceptance by affirming that worth is not lost through suffering. Dignity remains even when ability diminishes. Hope continues through remembrance. Stories of those who endured before become sources of courage. Belief links these stories across generations, creating continuity of resilience. As this section comes to rest, suffering, comfort, and hope are seen not as separate experiences, but as intertwined movements of human life. Belief in God engages all three, offering presence within pain and trust within uncertainty. In the next section, we will explore how community, tradition, and belonging shape belief, carrying meaning across time and shared life. As reflection continues, attention turns toward community, tradition, and belonging. Human beings are inherently social, shaped by relationships that extend beyond individual experience. Belief in God is often sustained not only by personal reflection, but by shared life. Across cultures, belief has been carried through families, communities, rituals, and stories that link generations together. Community offers belonging. From early childhood, people learn who they are through others. Language, values, and meaning are transmitted relationally. Belief in God often enters life through this relational context. It is heard in stories, seen in practices, and felt in shared moments. Belief becomes part of identity before it becomes an idea. Tradition plays a central role in this transmission. Traditions preserve memory. They carry wisdom accumulated over time, shaped by collective experience. Religious traditions, in particular, offer narratives that situate individual lives within larger histories. Belief in God is sustained through continuity, reminding individuals that they are part of something that existed before them and will continue after them. For many, this continuity provides comfort. In a changing world, tradition offers stability. Rituals mark time, creating rhythms that anchor life. Celebrations and commemorations connect present experience to past meaning. Belief in God becomes a shared language through which joy and grief are expressed collectively. Belonging also provides support during difficulty. Communities gather around those who suffer, offering presence rather than solutions. Shared belief gives structure to this support. Acts of care are framed as expressions of faith rather than obligation. God becomes associated with compassion enacted through relationship. At the same time, community can shape belief through challenge. Shared life exposes individuals to difference and disagreement. Belief matures as people learn to navigate tension with patience and humility. Community prevents belief from becoming purely private or self-referential. It introduces accountability and perspective. Tradition also evolves through community. Beliefs are interpreted and reinterpreted as contexts change. This evolution does not necessarily weaken tradition. It often strengthens it by allowing relevance to endure. Belief in God adapts while maintaining continuity, balancing preservation and renewal. Belonging is especially significant during transitions. Birth, coming of age, marriage, loss, and death are moments when individuals feel the need for connection. Religious communities provide rituals that acknowledge these transitions, offering meaning when words fall short. Belief gives these rituals depth beyond custom. For those who feel isolated, belief can offer imagined belonging even before community is found. The idea of being known or held by God addresses loneliness at its root. This sense of belonging can motivate individuals to seek connection with others. However, community is not always inclusive. Some experience exclusion or judgment within religious settings. These experiences can challenge belief deeply. For some, belief is reshaped rather than abandoned. God becomes associated with compassion beyond institutional boundaries. Belonging also shapes moral identity. Shared values reinforce ethical commitment. Community reminds individuals that actions affect others. Belief in God frames responsibility as relational rather than individualistic. Moral life becomes something practiced together. In modern societies, traditional forms of community have weakened. Mobility, technology, and individualism reshape belonging. Belief adapts to these changes, finding new expressions of community through small groups, service, or shared practice. The human need for belonging persists even as forms change. Tradition provides continuity across these shifts. Stories and symbols remain meaningful even when settings change. Belief in God continues through adaptation rather than rigidity. Communities experiment with new ways of gathering while honoring inherited wisdom. Belonging also supports resilience. Shared belief allows individuals to endure hardship, knowing they are not alone. Community memory reminds people that others have faced similar struggles. God becomes associated with faithfulness, expressed through collective endurance. As belief is carried through tradition, it becomes less dependent on individual certainty. One may doubt while still belonging. Community holds belief during moments of uncertainty. This shared holding allows faith to be sustained across fluctuations. For some, belief deepens through service. Working together for others creates bonds of meaning. Compassion becomes communal practice. God is encountered not only in belief, but in action shared with others. Community and tradition also shape imagination. Shared narratives influence how people envision purpose, hope, and future. Belief becomes part of a story larger than individual ambition. This section comes gently to rest here. We have explored how community, tradition, and belonging sustain belief in God across time and relationship. In the next section, we will turn toward doubt, modern skepticism, and the reshaping of belief in contemporary life. Belonging also provides language for gratitude and celebration. Shared expressions of thanks reinforce connection. Belief in God becomes a way of acknowledging life together rather than alone. Tradition holds memory during times of forgetting. When individuals feel disconnected from meaning, shared practices recall what matters. Belief persists through remembrance as much as conviction. As societies grow more diverse, communities of belief increasingly emphasize dialogue and hospitality. Belief adapts by learning to coexist with difference rather than withdraw from it. This expanded understanding prepares us to explore how belief responds to doubt and skepticism, remaining present even when certainty fades. Belonging also influences how belief is questioned. Doubt within community can be met with support rather than dismissal. Shared life creates space for uncertainty to be held collectively. Belief becomes less about individual certainty and more about shared commitment to meaning. Tradition carries belief through silence as well as speech. There are times when belief is not articulated clearly, yet it remains present through gesture, habit, and care. God is encountered in continuity rather than argument. Community also shapes humility. Being among others reveals limitation and difference. Belief matures as individuals learn that no single perspective contains the whole. God becomes associated with mystery held together rather than certainty held alone. As generations pass, belief is handed on imperfectly. Stories are reinterpreted. Practices shift. Yet continuity remains through shared intention. Belief endures not because it is flawless, but because it is lived. This lived continuity prepares the way to examine how belief responds to doubt and skepticism, especially in modern contexts where questioning is common and certainty is rare. Belief within community also shapes identity across time. Individuals change, but belonging remains a constant reference point. Tradition reminds people that faith is not only about personal insight, but about shared journey. When belief is carried together, it can survive moments of weakness. One person's strength supports another's doubt. God becomes present in mutual care rather than isolated conviction. Community also offers correction. Belief is refined through dialogue and lived consequence. Harmful interpretations are challenged. Compassion grows through shared accountability. In this way, belonging sustains belief not by enforcing uniformity, but by fostering relationship. God is encountered in the space between people as much as within them. This section comes to rest, having explored how community, tradition, and belonging shape belief in God across generations and shared life. In the next section, we will turn toward doubt, skepticism, and modern questioning, examining how belief persists and transforms amid uncertainty. Belonging also provides space for grief and celebration to be shared. Collective memory holds joy and loss together. Belief in God becomes woven into these shared experiences, offering meaning that extends beyond individual emotion. Tradition teaches patience. Change occurs slowly. Belief carried across time gains depth through endurance rather than immediacy. As this reflection deepens, community and tradition are understood not as constraints, but as vessels that carry meaning forward. Belief persists because it is lived together. This prepares us to explore how belief engages with doubt, skepticism, and modern questioning in the next section. As reflection moves forward, attention turns toward doubt, skepticism, and modern questioning. In contemporary life, belief in God often exists alongside uncertainty rather than replacing it. Doubt is no longer seen simply as the absence of faith, but as a common and sometimes necessary part of belief itself. For many people, belief persists not because questions disappear, but because questioning deepens understanding. Modern skepticism arises from many sources. Scientific advancement has reshaped how people understand the world. Explanations once attributed to divine action are now understood through natural processes. Historical awareness reveals that beliefs have changed over time. Cultural diversity exposes individuals to many religious perspectives. Together, these influences invite examination rather than assumption. For some, this examination leads away from belief. For others, it reshapes belief rather than dissolving it. Doubt becomes a tool rather than a threat. It clears away images of God that no longer resonate, making space for interpretations that feel more honest and mature. Belief shaped by doubt tends to be quieter and less absolute. It is less concerned with certainty and more concerned with trust. God is no longer understood primarily as an answer to every question, but as a presence that remains meaningful even when answers are incomplete. Skepticism also reflects a desire for integrity. Many people resist belief that feels imposed or unexamined. They seek coherence between belief and experience. Doubt becomes an expression of responsibility rather than rebellion. Questioning prevents belief from becoming rigid or superficial. Modern belief often acknowledges complexity openly. Individuals may accept scientific explanations while holding spiritual meaning. They may question traditional doctrines while remaining connected to spiritual practice. Belief becomes layered rather than uniform. Doubt also emerges from moral questioning. When religious traditions appear to conflict with compassion or justice, individuals wrestle with belief. Some reinterpret tradition, others step away from institutions while retaining spiritual orientation. God becomes associated with conscience rather than authority. This moral skepticism does not necessarily reject belief. It seeks alignment between belief and ethical awareness. Faith becomes accountable to compassion. Doubt protects belief from becoming harmful. Existential skepticism also shapes modern belief. Questions about meaning, suffering, and death remain unresolved despite progress. Some conclude that meaning must be created rather than discovered. Others find that belief continues to offer orientation even without proof. Belief persists for many because it addresses dimensions of life that skepticism alone does not satisfy. Rational explanation does not eliminate longing, wonder, or the search for purpose. Doubt clarifies belief by distinguishing between explanation and meaning. The coexistence of belief and doubt reshapes prayer and practice. Prayer becomes conversation rather than certainty. Practice becomes discipline rather than assurance. God is approached with honesty rather than confidence. Communities of belief adapt to this reality. Spaces are created where questions are welcomed rather than silenced. Tradition becomes dialogue rather than decree. Belief matures through openness. Doubt also fosters humility. Recognizing the limits of understanding softens certainty. Belief becomes less about possessing truth and more about participating in it. God is approached with reverence rather than control. Modern skepticism challenges simplistic images of God. Anthropomorphic depictions give way to symbolic and metaphorical understanding. God becomes less an object within the universe and more the ground of meaning itself. This shift allows belief to remain meaningful without contradicting experience. God is no longer confined to explanation, but encountered through depth, value, and relationship. Some critics argue that belief survives only by retreating into abstraction. Yet for many, belief becomes more grounded through doubt. It is no longer inherited blindly, but chosen reflectively. Doubt also connects believers and non-believers through shared questioning. Conversation replaces argument. Belief becomes a position within dialogue rather than opposition. Modern questioning does not signal the end of belief. It signals transformation. Belief adapts to changing understanding while continuing to address enduring human needs. This section comes gently to rest here. We have explored how doubt and skepticism shape belief in God in modern life, not by destroying faith, but by refining it. In the final section, we will turn toward integration and quiet conclusion, reflecting on how belief and questioning coexist in a balanced and meaningful way. Doubt also arises from personal experience. Moments of unanswered prayer, loss, or silence can unsettle belief. These experiences force individuals to confront expectations they may not have examined. For some, belief shifts from expecting intervention to trusting presence. This shift does not diminish belief, it deepens it. God is no longer sought as solution, but as companion. Meaning is found not in resolution, but in endurance. Modern skepticism often values authenticity over certainty. People resist beliefs that feel imposed or inauthentic. Belief that survives skepticism tends to be deeply personal, integrated with lived experience rather than external authority. Questioning also renews tradition. Long-held interpretations are revisited. Harmful assumptions are challenged. Belief evolves through this process, remaining responsive rather than static. Doubt further shapes humility toward other perspectives. Recognizing uncertainty opens space for respect. Belief becomes one voice among many, rather than a claim to final authority. In this environment, belief often coexists with ambiguity. Individuals hold convictions lightly, aware of complexity. God is approached with reverence rather than possession. Skepticism also protects belief from idolatry. When images of God are questioned, belief moves beyond projection. God becomes mystery rather than object. This understanding allows belief to remain alive rather than fixed. Doubt becomes a form of care, guarding belief against simplification. As reflection deepens, belief and doubt are seen not as opposites, but as companions. Each tempers the other. Faith without doubt risks rigidity. Doubt without faith risks emptiness. This integration prepares us to move toward a quiet conclusion, where belief is understood not as certainty achieved, but as meaning lived amid questions. Modern life also encourages skepticism through constant exposure to information. Competing claims create fatigue. Belief survives by shifting from argument to practice. People believe not because they have resolved every question, but because belief continues to orient life meaningfully. Belief shaped by skepticism often emphasizes values such as compassion, humility, and presence. God becomes less a doctrine to defend and more a reality to embody. This embodiment expresses itself in daily life. Acts of kindness, patience, and care become quiet affirmations of belief. Doubt does not prevent these actions. It often deepens them by removing expectation of reward. As belief becomes less certain, it often becomes more sincere. Individuals speak cautiously rather than confidently. God is approached with openness rather than demand. This movement toward sincerity reflects a mature form of belief. It acknowledges complexity without surrendering meaning. Belief remains because it continues to answer a different kind of question: how to live rather than what to explain. This section now rests, having explored doubt, skepticism, and modern questioning as forces that refine rather than erase belief in God. In the final section, we will bring the reflection to a gentle close, integrating belief, doubt, meaning, and quiet trust. Doubt also invites patience with oneself. Belief no longer needs to be resolved quickly. Questions can remain open without urgency. This patience allows belief to breathe. Through this lens, belief becomes a posture rather than a position. It is expressed through attentiveness rather than certainty. As this reflection settles, belief and doubt are understood as intertwined movements of the same search. Both arise from care. Both seek honesty. This prepares the way for the final integration and closing reflection. Finally, attention turns toward integration and quiet trust. After exploring wonder, fear, order, morality, suffering, community, and doubt, a larger picture begins to emerge. Belief in God does not arise from a single reason, nor does it depend on certainty. It emerges from the convergence of many experiences that shape human life. Belief persists because it responds to enduring questions. Questions of meaning, value, belonging, and purpose do not disappear as knowledge expands. They change form, but they remain present. Belief in God offers a way of living with these questions rather than resolving them completely. Integration begins when belief and doubt are no longer treated as opposites. Doubt becomes part of faith's honesty. Belief becomes less about certainty and more about orientation. God is no longer approached as a final answer, but as a presence that gives direction amid uncertainty. This orientation shapes how life is lived day by day. Choices are made with awareness of connection. Actions are guided by compassion rather than fear. Belief influences not what is claimed, but how one moves through the world. Quiet trust replaces the need for proof. Trust does not deny reason or experience. It acknowledges limits. It rests in the understanding that meaning may be larger than explanation. This trust is not passive. It is practiced through patience, humility, and care. Belief also matures through acceptance. Life includes contradiction, loss, and unanswered questions. Faith that accepts complexity becomes resilient. God is no longer imagined as preventing pain, but as accompanying life through it. Integration allows belief to remain flexible. Images of God evolve. Language shifts. What remains constant is the orientation toward meaning, value, and relationship. Belief adapts without dissolving. This flexibility encourages respect across difference. When belief is held gently, it does not require uniformity. Others may believe differently or not at all. Dialogue replaces division. Belief becomes a way of listening rather than insisting. Integration also reshapes prayer and reflection. Prayer becomes attentiveness. Reflection becomes openness. God is encountered in silence as much as in speech. Presence replaces expectation. Meaning unfolds through ordinary life. Moments of kindness, attention, and care become expressions of belief. Faith is lived quietly rather than declared loudly. As belief integrates with experience, it becomes less about explanation and more about participation. Life itself becomes the place where meaning is practiced. This closing reflection does not seek to persuade. It offers an invitation to notice where belief arises naturally in experience, to observe how meaning, value, and connection shape daily life. Belief in God continues because it answers a different kind of question. Not how the universe works, but how to live within it. Not what can be proven, but what can be trusted. You do not need certainty to walk this path. You only need attention. Attention to wonder, attention to conscience, attention to suffering and care. Belief grows where attention is given. As this listening space comes to rest, allow the questions to remain open. There is no need to resolve them tonight. Meaning unfolds slowly. Whether belief feels strong, uncertain, or absent, the search itself is human. The quiet turning toward meaning is shared across belief and doubt alike. This reflection ends not with an answer, but with presence. With the understanding that belief is lived moment by moment, shaped by experience, and carried gently forward. May you rest in this openness. The journey continues quietly, shaped not by certainty, but by care. Integration also means recognizing that belief takes different forms across life stages. What feels convincing at one moment may feel distant at another. Belief is not static. It moves with experience, shaped by joy, loss, growth, and reflection. This movement is not failure. It is responsiveness to life itself. Many people discover that belief deepens when it becomes quieter. Early belief may rely on clear images or firm answers. Over time, these may soften. What remains is a sense of trust grounded in lived experience rather than explanation. Belief also becomes more compassionate through integration. Recognizing one's own uncertainty fosters patience with others. Differences are approached with curiosity rather than threat. God becomes associated with hospitality rather than division. This integrated belief supports ethical life not through command, but through orientation. Values such as kindness, honesty, and care are lived because they align with meaning, not because they are enforced. Belief guides action gently. Integration also invites gratitude. Gratitude for existence itself. Gratitude for moments of beauty and connection. Belief offers a way of acknowledging these gifts beyond circumstance. In this sense, belief becomes less about what one thinks and more about how one attends. Attention becomes prayer. Presence becomes devotion. Life continues to unfold with uncertainty. Suffering does not disappear. Questions remain. Yet belief endures as a way of staying engaged rather than withdrawing. This reflection closes by returning to where it began, with quiet listening. Listening to experience, listening to conscience, listening to the subtle sense that life is meaningful, even when it is difficult. You may carry nothing from this reflection except a feeling of calm or openness. That is enough. Meaning does not require conclusion. As the words fade, allow the silence to remain. Belief, doubt, and meaning continue their quiet conversation beyond this moment. Rest here. The exploration has done its work simply by being received. Integration also reshapes how belief is carried into ordinary routines. Belief does not require special moments to exist. It lives in patience during waiting, in restraint during conflict, in generosity when no recognition follows. These quiet expressions often reveal belief more clearly than words. Belief that has been integrated with doubt does not demand certainty. It remains open to revision and learning. God is encountered through humility rather than possession. As belief matures, it often shifts from seeking answers to cultivating attention. Attention to others, attention to the present moment, attention to the depth beneath everyday experience. This attentiveness sustains meaning even when explanations fail. It allows life to be lived fully without needing final resolution. In this way, belief becomes a companion rather than a conclusion. It walks alongside life rather than standing above it. This final reflection rests here, not as an ending, but as a pause. The questions explored remain alive. Belief continues to evolve through experience. May this quiet space accompany you beyond this moment. The journey of meaning does not end. It simply continues, one attentive step at a time. Integration also allows belief to be held lightly without losing depth. It acknowledges that certainty can close inquiry, while openness keeps it alive. Belief becomes a living orientation rather than a fixed position. As belief is integrated, fear gradually loosens its hold, not because life becomes predictable, but because trust deepens. Trust in meaning, trust in connection, trust in the quiet worth of existence itself. Belief then supports rest. Rest from constant explanation, rest from comparison, rest from the pressure to resolve what may not be resolvable. This resting belief is especially suited to moments of stillness. It aligns with silence rather than noise, with listening rather than speaking. As this final section comes to rest, allow the openness to remain. There is no urgency to decide. Meaning unfolds gently, often unnoticed. This reflection ends here, not with certainty, but with care. With the understanding that belief, however it is held, arises from attention to life itself. May you carry this care forward quietly. The journey continues.